gathering here to support, I hope you'll be supporting, the LAMBS campaign. And I, as the Member of Parliament for Arundel and South Downs, which includes this village and would include a large part of where they propose to build this new town, want to say once again, as I have been saying for a decade now, alongside my colleague Sir Nicholas Soames, and it's my privilege to be his warm-up act this evening. I want to say again that I profoundly object to this proposal. I object to it for a number of reasons. First of all, I object to the behaviour of the developers. Horsham and Mid-Sussex District Council had very difficult jobs to do in getting their plans through. Mayfield, along with other developers, but Mayfield took the lead, did everything they possibly could to disrupt those plans as they were going through. They helped to cause the delay of the Mid-Sussex plan. They argued against the plan. They wanted the development that they have chosen and objected to the development that the democratically elected local councils wanted in the places they wanted. They even went so far as to leaflet people in the north of Horsham during the inspection process of the Horsham District Plan to say that they needn't have development up there because the Mayfield town could be built in the south of the district instead. Those are the sorts of tactics that this developer was resorting to. We've heard about the tactics that they're employing in seeking to bully landowners to go along with their proposals. Some of these tactics have frankly been shameful. They don't even own the options to most of this land, and yet they persist. The chairman of this company is a highly reputable developer who has produced a brilliant development in King's Cross. I don't take anything away from that. And he said to me in one of the meetings that we had, come and see the development in King's Cross because you'll see how well we did it. I said to him, I've seen the development in King's Cross. I know it's a good development. This is not King's Cross. This is rural West Sussex. And you are proposing to build 7,000 houses for 20,000 people, 4 times the size of any of the villages or small market towns in my constituency, in an area that has no transport infrastructure. Where is the railway line that is going to take people to and from work? How can you build a new town these days and not have it located anywhere near a railway line? What are people going to do? Is it a serious prospect that they're all going to have jobs located locally? No, they're going to get into their cars and they're going to drive to one of our other existing railway stations, because we all know what a fantastic route it is to go through Hurstpierpoint and to Sussex. That'll be fine. 10,000 people will just zip through there every morning with absolutely no trouble whatsoever. And we also know what a fantastic rail service it is there, up and down to London. We know, don't we, of the pressure that already exists on our schools, on our GP services, on our country roads. And one of the biggest concerns that people have about development in our area is not just that people don't feel in control of it, it's the lack of infrastructure to support it. We get the houses and we don't get the services that should follow. We get the houses and we don't get the infrastructure that should follow. And so it is absurd, it seems to me, that you propose a development plonked down in the middle of open countryside in West Sussex, nowhere near a railway line, and think that that is a sustainable proposal for a modern new town. It simply is not. There is a case for building new towns. Let's understand that there is. There's a case, as we saw there was a generation back when some of the new towns were produced to accommodate a population then. There's a case now because we know that there is housing need. We know that there are young people who can't afford to buy a house, whose idea of owning a house is just a distant dream, who are driven away from this area because of how high rents. We know that there is a need to build more houses. Every single person in this room knows it. You have children and grandchildren if you yourself are not a young person, and most of us here are not. We know that we have to meet those dreams. It's the single most pressing domestic policy issue that this country faces, in my view. But we are meeting that housing demand locally. The Horsham and Mid-Sussex district councils are building huge numbers of houses now because of the targets that have effectively been set for them, and those targets have been increased. Horsham's going to have to build something like 1,000 houses a year in order to meet this demand. You just heard from Malcolm about how Henfield is going to have to accommodate more houses. I know that we don't like this, but we all understand the need to provide houses for young people. And if good sites can be found across the country where there is local support from local councils in sustainable areas where there is transport infrastructure, then there would be a case for building a new town. And I think we all understand that. But this isn't one of those cases because the councils already have their existing plans. The local councils are opposed to this plan. The members of parliament are opposed to this plan. The parish councils are opposed to this plan. There is no local democratic consent for this proposal. And it's not necessary to accommodate the housing need that we have to meet in our area. It's an unnecessary proposal as well by a developer that is simply trying to get its own way. But what I want to say to you in conclusion is this. It is not enough not to like the developer. It is not enough to disapprove, as I do, of the developer's tactics. It is not enough just to say that we don't want a development of this scale anywhere near us. It is not enough to say that this housing would be built in open countryside and that would spoil the countryside. It's not enough to find, as every single group campaigning against development always finds, a beetle, a dormouse or a bat that is claimed as the rarest in the whole world, and therefore the development cannot come. That never stops development of this kind. My serious point is this. You have to mount, and we together have to mount, a serious case to stop this developer. It won't be enough to gather in this church again. It won't be enough to go out with our placards. It won't even be enough to threaten to lie down under the bulldozer. We have to make the case. We have to ensure that the planning arguments as to why this is not a sustainable proposal are put to the council, and if necessary put to a planning inspector. We have to marshal our forces. And that's why this LAMBS campaign is so important. Because it's not just a noisy pressure group. And I know we all want noise about this proposal. It's a serious group that is mounting a serious argument, and that is how we will win. And that group needs funding. It needs funding because it wants to take on top legal advice. It wants to make sure that we can play Mayfield at their own game. One of the developers told me, we're just in this for the long game. Well, perhaps they are, but look at the price that we are paying for that cynicism. Property blight, local public concern, our plans being disrupted. What we have to signal is that if necessary, we'll be in for the long game too, because we won't give up. And that's why I want you to support the LAMBS campaign. That's why it's so important. This proposal has arisen again. It is like a particularly awful case of athlete's foot. It just never goes away. And what we have to do is find a way to kill it off once and for all. The planning inspectors said that it was not necessary. The council said that it was not necessary. The parish councils are against it. But we have to fight on, and we have to make the serious arguments, and you have to support the LAMBS campaign to help them to do that. And I promise you that Sir Nicholas Soames and I, for so long as we remain members of Parliament, will continue to join with you and fight against this completely undemocratic, unsustainable and cynical proposal. Thank you.